Donald Trump has become so toxic that we're starting to see Republicans in Georgia say, hey, we're going to endorse the Democrat rather than the Republican in one of the most important Senate races that there is. This is how you know you're failing. This is how you know that even your own party is running away from you. So let me tell you what's going on. In just a 3-day period, former Republican Senator Jeff Flake, Tifton Mayor Julie Smith, and Valdosta Mayor Scott James Matheson endorsed the Democratic senator in Georgia, Jon Ossoff, over the Trump-backed Republican Mike Collins. Think about that. Now, these Republicans have not suddenly become liberals. You know, whenever a Republican endorses a Democrat, you'll see antagonists go, this proves that that Democrat is secretly a right-winger. That's why they're supporting him. That is absurd. An endorsement doesn't mean two people agree on every policy. It means that given our choices, we have two options. One candidate has earned some support across party lines, or one candidate is just so nuts that even the people in their own party are running away from him. Now, Flake specifically said, when you look at Jon Ossoff, you see not a guy who I agree with on every policy. I see a man of character, a man who does constituent work, and a man who respects the institution of the Senate. And Flake also criticized Collins, the MAGA-endorsed Republican, for refusing to even say, listen, Joe Biden won in 2020. I wish that he hadn't, but Joe Biden won in 2020. Smith said, as a Republican, Smith said, Ossoff, the Democrat, has delivered for South Georgia. Matheson said, I'm going to take heat for crossing party lines, but I have built a relationship with this senator, and this senator has done well for my constituents in Georgia. This is not evidence that Jon Ossoff is a Republican. It's evidence that at a certain point, when MAGA nominates and has these whacked out lunatics, if you have a Democrat that you agree with on a lot of policy, but they're competent, they have character, they respect democracy at the end of the day, it can matter more than party loyalty. And it also shows just how repellent Donald Trump's version of the Republican Party has become to some Republicans. Now, Collins is facing a lot of questions that go directly to character. Questions about connections between his campaign and anti-Semitic and white nationalist figures. Really just ugly, nasty stuff. His campaign says, no, it's all made up. But when the choice is Ossoff, the incumbent, and this MAGA candidate who won't even say, yes, Trump really lost in 2020, there are Republicans who are saying, this is just too much. I'm going to go with the Democrat. Now, there is another reason that Republicans are right to fear Jon Ossoff. Ossoff has what it takes to become a national figure. I've been watching Ossoff very closely. And when people talk about 2028, they naturally are gravitating to the governors. And there's very interesting Democratic gubernatorial candidates who are potential candidates for 2028. But Ossoff is a little different. First of all, he's from the Senate rather than being a governor. He's younger than all of them. He's disciplined. He's really good on camera. His fundraising is excellent. He's willing to confront Trump directly. And importantly, remember the whole thing of what we really need is a Democrat from the South. Ossoff represents Georgia in the Senate, and that's a state that Donald Trump has previously carried. Not Biden won it in 2020, but Trump got it in 2024. And Ossoff, of course, has support from Democrats, and he's got support from independents, but there are even some Republicans, other than these that are endorsing him, I mean Republican voters that also like Ossoff. And so when you think about 2028, Ossoff is potentially a very strong contender. Now, he said he is not interested in running in 28. He's up for re-election now. It's a 6-year term. That term would go through 2032. Fine. But it's clear that Republicans understand the threat. They know that Ossoff could come from this re-election campaign, where he's doing really well right now, by the way, and he could come out of it with a national profile. And he will have proven that he can win multiple times in Georgia, not once and it's a fluke, multiple times. And this is a very strong argument that Democrats can compete in the South without watering down values. The latest numbers are fascinating. There's an AARP poll which finds Ossoff is up 9 in Georgia. That is a state Trump just won in 2024. One poll doesn't tell you everything. Georgia's competitive. You've got to get the votes. You've got to run the race. But this is an extraordinary situation. What is proven by seeing three Republicans cross party lines and go, I'm with the Democrat Ossoff, is that he's formidable. He can build a coalition that I believe Democrats need. You got to have strong support from the base. You need credibility with independents. And then you also need some crossover appeal so that Republicans go, damn, this guy might actually have what it takes here. Trump, on the other hand, just goes, I need total loyalty. The party must be completely and totally loyal to me. Ossoff is showing those sorts of demands can backfire and backfire very quickly. So I'm very interested in this Georgia race. If Ossoff wins, the first step is he's got to win. If he wins decisively, I believe that the conversation on Ossoff is going to be also about 2028. And, for all the talk about Democrats have such huge problems, and they do. I mean, listen, I'm gonna gag if I hear about more Democrats writing an op-ed or a strongly worded letter. I mean, it is just vomitous. So there are real problems here for Democrats. But I think there's a very deep farm team for Democrats for 28. And we're going to talk about AOC, who has now said she's not ruling out running for president. We have a situation where in the Democratic Party, you have everything from strong centrists to more progressives, all of whom have the ability, the charisma, the gravitas, the policy chops to be really good candidates. If anything, the problem could be too many candidates and fragmenting the vote than not enough. Although I actually think the more robust the primary, the better. So Ossoff with the crossover appeal, Ossoff leading by 9 in Georgia, excellent candidate. And I think another important thing about Ossoff is a reminder that it's okay if the right Democrat is very different ideologically in different races. Troy Jackson in Maine facing off against Susan Collins in front of Maine voters doesn't need to check all the same boxes that Jon Ossoff has to check in a state like Georgia compared to Tallarico in Texas. That's okay. That's a good thing. Let voters decide what it is that they want. So I'm very optimistic, quite frankly. Even if Democrats don't get the Senate in 2026, there are a lot of things that are pointing in the right direction. The Ossoff crossover appeal is one of those, and we're going to keep a very close eye on it. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.